You know, what keeps me up at night lately isn't horror movies. It's realizing how much of my life is floating around the internet. Addresses, phone numbers, my family members, my personal emails. Data brokers are collecting this stuff and selling it like it's a clearance item. That's why I'm excited to tell you about My Data Removal. They help you remove your personal info from the web, but for real, not just hiding it, but going after the more than 200 sites and growing where your info might be exposed. They scan, they remove, and they keep you updated every month so you know what's been taken down. Identity theft, unwanted calls, someone getting a hold of your home address and family details. It's not paranoid, it's real. In fact, 1 in 3 Americans has experienced identity theft. It costs time, money, and emotional stress. My Data Removal fights back so you don't have to. Here's what you do. Head to mydataremoval.com. Start with a free scan to see exactly what data about you is floating around. Then let them clean it up. Let them restore your privacy. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Clean up your data with My Data Removal. Visit mydataremoval.com now. Your peace of mind is worth it.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing The Chicken Sisters, Season 2, Episode 6, titled A Woman Always Knows, y'all. And today, I am flying solo. I had teased last week that we were going to be joined by a very special co-host this week, and Wendy was going to be making her Chicken Sisters Season 2 review debut. Wendy is so sick, y'all. So I'm flying solo on today's episode. Let's get into it. First of all, as of yesterday, Hallmark did drop their Countdown to Christmas schedule for this season. There were some surprises on that schedule. The full schedule, all of the dates, all of the movies, some great photos are on our website, girlsgonehallmark.com. That post is pinned right up top. We also created a printable schedule to go along with that, so you can print that out. Keep track of the movies all season long. Check that out at girlsgonehallmark.com. Let's talk The Chicken Sisters Season 2, Episode 6. This episode was directed by Jackie Gold. The writer is Mono Agapian, and you might remember a few episodes back I mentioned that I had heard Mono on a podcast, and they introduced him as one of the writers on The Chicken Sisters, and because the name was in my head, I kept seeing him in the opening credits, credited as a story editor for some of these episodes. Well, I was so excited to see that he is the writer on this episode for no reason other than I'm rooting for this complete stranger. So congratulations, Mono, on your writing credit on this episode of The Chicken Sisters. My first impression of this episode is as hectic as the chain of command at City Hall. I'm going to take a quick break and come back and talk about what I liked about this episode.
You know, what keeps me up at night lately isn't horror movies. It's realizing how much of my life is floating around the internet. Addresses, phone numbers, my family members, my personal emails. Data brokers are collecting this stuff and selling it like it's a clearance item. That's why I'm excited to tell you about My Data Removal. They help you remove your personal info from the web, but for real, not just hiding it, but going after the more than 200 sites and growing where your info might be exposed. They scan, they remove, and they keep you updated every month so you know what's been taken down. Identity theft, unwanted calls, someone getting a hold of your home address and family details. It's not paranoid, it's real. In fact, 1 in 3 Americans has experienced identity theft. It costs time, money, and emotional stress. My Data Removal fights back so you don't have to. Here's what you do. Head to mydataremoval.com. Start with a free scan to see exactly what data about you is floating around. Then let them clean it up. Let them restore your privacy. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Clean up your data with My Data Removal. Visit mydataremoval.com now. Your peace of mind is worth it.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's. Milo's Pro Rewards members save even more with limited-time doorbuster deals. Save $5 on 24-count Contractor's Choice 42-gallon trash bags, now just $14.78. Plus, get your choice select DeWalt Elite Series saw blades for $9.98. Not a Pro Rewards member? Join for free today at Lowe's. Valid through 9/17. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
All right, let's talk what we liked about this episode. What I really liked about this episode is we have some things that have been kind of simmering for a long time that finally come to the forefront, and we get a few new dynamics, new characters returning even to keep it lively. We have some really dramatic moments like that tornado montage, which we will talk about in a minute. And we still get some of those quirky little small town moments, the humor that I really like about this show. Also, huge focus on the independence of these women. I have some feedback to share from a listener about that. So let's talk Amanda's art. I love that she's getting some recognition. She's finally getting something that's her own. She's not just one of the chicken sisters. That's something that she came into through her family, through her marriage. Her art is something that we've seen is important to her, and she's finally getting some recognition for it. I like that we see her wrestle with imposter syndrome. She can't totally believe people are interested in seeing her work. It's very relatable. The tension that we get with her wanting to express herself artistically and also feeling maybe like calling herself an artist is a bridge too far is a really interesting dynamic. Nancy, for me, has the absolute best storyline in this entire episode. This is a banner episode for her. When she yells at Frank Jr. for burning bridges instead of building them, that was a much needed moment for her. And then she confronts Clayton. I'm so glad she did it. I loved May's confrontation of Clayton too, but Nancy's, we already know that May's a strong, independent woman. When Nancy gives it to Clayton in her defense of Gus, I loved it. Plus, Nancy has the added bonus of having known Clayton since their youth. She spent so much time in her life in this series being a peacekeeper, and now we're seeing her really stand up in her own voice and stand up for the people who are important to her. Gruster is back. Honestly, I had kind of forgotten about him. In the beginning of the season, I was hoping we would see him. I loved that hint of a romance we were seeing between Gruster and Sabrina at the end of last season. But he's such a refreshing presence in this show and another man in this universe who does not suck, which is unfortunately rarer than it should be. He comes back. There's no fanfare. He just hops right into things. My absolute favorite part of this episode is the tornado montage. It's a real standout. It's very dramatic. Nancy begging the people in the town hall to ring the alarm while May is stuck in the storm. I mean, the metaphor does beat you over the head a little bit there, but I did feel like they gave us a strong sense of urgency. I do kind of wish that they had moved Gus out of that bed after having the discussion about the tree being very dangerous, but nevertheless, very dramatic. It did make the stakes feel quite high, and it pushed people like Nancy to make some decisions that we would not have seen them make in recent history. My silent co-host on this episode is listener Paula, who sent us an email about this episode. Paula's a big fan of this show, has been since season 1, and she's always been pushing us to see some of the deeper themes in this show. And so, Paula, you didn't know this, but you are my co-host for this episode, and I would like to share some of Paula's thoughts. Paula says, I love how Amanda and Nancy, who both did the right thing, in quotation marks, by marrying poorly, are asserting their independence, while the independent and successful May and Sabrina have found reliable, strong men to help them. I love how Gruster just came back and went to work. It was so fun to watch. I agree with all of that. I love that perspective of I love that perspective of the contrast between Amanda and Nancy and Sabrina and Gruster and how that's manifesting in their lives now. One of my favorite things about this show are the small moments of humor, and in this episode, that is no exception. We get Sergio reading Shauna's smut to Gus. It's a perfect mix of hilarious and also slightly awkward, and our town Renaissance woman Shauna popping up as the process server. I love that the show uses her for these surprise little comic moments. There really is no shortage of ways in which she can pop up, and it's a running bit that could have run out of usefulness, and I think they've used it appropriately in this season. Let's talk wishes. My 2 wishes are for my 2 least favorite characters in this show to see themselves out. First of all, Clayton, what an absolute disappointment. I have seen the writing on the wall for this man all season long. I have questioned whether or not his intentions were true. We saw hints of it in last episode, and it seems very clear that Clayton is a big old disappointment. He refers to Gus's MS as her situation, like it's just a minor inconvenience before they can jet off together. It was just downright cruel. He has the bedside manner of a rock. Calling him the worst nurse is not an exaggeration. They painted a very clear picture of a man who was not here for a family. He was not here to be a partner. He was looking for a good time, looking for a second act in life, and hoping to perhaps have someone along by his side, but only as it fit his needs. Frank Jr., the man has absolutely no remorse. And as much as I said I'm not interested in a Frank Jr. redemption story, and I wouldn't really even buy one, there is a part of me that would like to see him feel a little bit sorry. We do still have 2 episodes left in this season. One of my favorite lines comes from listener Paula's email, who says, "The cluckery being that packed with men was very creepy." Honestly, I'm glad she sent this email because all I noticed was the big line. But when I went back and rewatched that scene, it's just a big line of men waiting outside to support Frank Jr.'s new enterprise now that the chicken does not suck. Unfortunately, Frank Jr. still does. In Did You See That moments, I would really like to know why on earth we are setting up the wedding so far in advance. At an outdoor wedding, those chairs need to go up the day of. Even in the best weather, they're going to wake up and be dewy from sitting out overnight. They'll be blown over, covered in dirt. While I understand the purpose of the metaphor, setting up an outdoor wedding days in advance, it's still unclear to me exactly when May's wedding is going to be, but setting up these outdoor chairs at least days in advance didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, other than as a vehicle to get Frankie and Lindsay together, to get Gruster along to help out, to have that great moment where May stands in the wreckage of her wedding. I'm curious to see how the wedding will pivot going forward. Small did you see that question? Is this town going to be pastorless while Beau travels? He's going to be gone for several months. This is a small town. He seems to be the one and only pastor in town. What are we doing to fill that hole? My last did you see that is, does this town really not have a contingency plan for if the mayor is unavailable to activate the tornado siren? Because while I understand his heart attack moment was quite dramatic and it took him out of the place, there are any number of reasons why he might be unreachable, super innocuous ones. So this town needs to have a better chain of command. We have that scene earlier in the episode where May is trying to get her marriage license and her name is spelled incorrectly. And so they can't do, I don't understand why they cannot just retype the license, fix the train arm, have a contingency plan, people. Is Nancy going to be the new mayor? I don't know. My feathered friend of the week, it should come as no surprise, is our girl Nancy, hands down. She finds her voice, she stands her ground, she refuses to let the men around her keep bulldozing her. She's really been a good girl for too long, and watching her step into her power is super satisfying. Thank you for listening to this short and sweet episode of Girls Gone Hallmark, a Bramble Jam podcast. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews. You can leave them right in the podcast app you are listening to us in right now. We'll be back next time with more Hallmark reviews. Goodbye. All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Lowe's knows how to get you ready for holiday hosting with up to 35% off select home decor. And get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, haul away, basic installation, parts, and a 2-year Lowe's protection plan when you spend $2,500 or more on select LG major appliances. Valid through 10/1. Member offer excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, and Florida. Installed by independent contractors. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details.